To start this video off, I would actually like to ask you a question here. I'm looking at the market and feeling that we are about to burst higher. Why? Let me take you guys through what we have seen recently and going all the way back to 2017 or 2015, 2014. Each and every time the market shows you something like this, we find out that the price has moved up. Whether that's a short-term move to the upside, whether that's a long-term move to the upside. Now, it is also true that depending on which horizon you watch these divergence, it gives you the best advantage. Say, when you watch that on a daily, 3-day, and a weekly, usually that gives a bigger bounce. When you watch that on just a 4-hour and a daily, you get a short-term move. But whatever it is, that shows something is preparing and it's about to go up. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Right now, price of XRP on the other end is slowing down and it's looking like this. Great. And this is what we shared with you guys before, right? It's been a week since we posted this. Right now, we are in this range. Maybe we are going to come down, touch that 0.46 mark and bounce off. But you do have that range as a support zone. So you have to keep your eyes on this. Why? Because Bitcoin is showing a short-term rejection. Now, if it does break this trend line, it is going to come back down. But if it don't, it can bounce back up. So it's a short-term chart. Yes, that's why you follow that as much as possible. And that's one of the reasons why I go through all of this and give that to all of you guys out there who are following all those charts which I'm posting on a regular basis, because market is showing you opportunity without a lot of new money coming in right now. That means you're still stuck close to $1.1 trillion, but you're watching some of these assets starting to burst higher. If you actually watch them, you can find opportunity. So if you are interested in that, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. Now, jumping in to what we really want to actually discuss. Say, if you look at how things are evolving, this first thing you need to ask. XRP price has been going down. Great, for almost a week. But what's the hope of a bounce back? If the normal guys are actually doing that, then who is buying? We are selling, great, so who the hell is buying on the other end? That's something important. If it's me, I would ask that to myself. And I'm like, okay, if they are buying, why the hell are they buying, right? That's a big question you should think. Like, supply continues to be accumulated by shark and whale wallets. So these are like the big guys. They are taking as much units of XRP as possible away from the market, believing that this asset is going to go up in price. Now, the reason for that is kind of clear. We already understand the level or the certainty about the fundamentals of this asset. The uncertainty is about the market. The uncertainty is about the price action. The uncertainty is about the time horizon required for this. But on the fundamental side, you're watching all of this happening on a macro scale, not only in one country, around the globe. And this is an era where you're watching a lot of bank run. Last time when you saw that in the US, you saw crypto moving up. Now, if that's going to start in a lot of emerging countries, with Chinese starting, it can be crazy. So if you're actually looking at that kind of thought process too, and if you're in Twitter, you can actually give me a follow. Now, if there are some imposters, don't go for that. You can actually follow this at XRPDNI1. So now, if you look at the price action, you do understand that factor on a short-term horizon. We are watching this. If the RSI is getting rejected there, which means Bitcoin is doing the same. It's slowing down and getting rejected from this particular level. That's a short-term chart. Now, what does that actually mean on a macro side? Great, because when you're actually comparing the XRP BTC price, you first need to understand where we are in terms of dollar. That's why we're doing this before we jump onto that. Now, if we do drop to that level as we discussed on a short-term horizon, then from your long-term movement, you are most likely looking something like this. You come somewhere close to this range. and then you bounce off. That's going to be a possibility. Now, why am I highlighting that possibility? Because if you are doing the trend like this at a time when the RSI is going like this, historically speaking, you bounce off. You can go into that, clear all this, make it as certain as possible, because in the price action, the issue is you don't really know what's going to happen 100%. You can study the market and understand the odds of it. Great. Now, if you go back studying about this, what you do have to consider is, okay, some of these patterns, they are visible on a 4-hour chart. They are visible on a daily chart. It kind of gives you an idea that they do happen. Like the price is going to the downside, the RSI is going slightly to the upside. You get that idea. That happens. Now, if you slowly move on to a 3-day chart, if you slowly move on to a weekly chart to increase the certainty of what you're watching, now you do have to put in more time, effort and energy, and then ask like, okay, what the hell is really happening? See, here the price is going down, RSI is going up, someone was buying heavy. That's one of the reasons why you did a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom. So in other words, 1, 2 and 3, the 3 impulsive bursts, you got that day. So you're actually looking at the market structure in a way, historically this is playing out each and every time the price goes down, and if the RSI is not following that, you watch that the price burst. And when that kind of a burst comes into the market, the biggest question a lot of us should actually ask ourselves is, how high can we really go? Because if you're actually taking time to create this divergence, this appears on a higher time frame structure. Great, that's easy, right? Now, if you go back in time, we actually watch that some of these times XRP is running against Bitcoin 15x. Some of these times we are running up like 20 times against Bitcoin. So on the other end, against USD, you are running crazy. So the time taken to create these divergences are important to note. And the run to the upside is not starting directly. There is a phase where the price is doing this. It's grinding up. It's not doing a big burst, but it is showing you I'm moving up. I want to slowly move up, burst higher. You're consistently trending higher with a higher high and a higher low, trending to the upside with this divergence forming at first. That gives you an idea which direction, macro direction you're actually going on to, and that kind of shows you which area of ROI you're looking at. If the consolidation is longer, your upside is bigger. That's actually something great. Then the next time when you actually did that 15x against 16x against Bitcoin, you kind of made that divergence somewhat like 50 to 60 days, and then you started moving up and you did all those crazy moves. Now, the first run was that. After that, again, you came back down. Then we did do another level upside, which was another 10x to the upside. So you actually see this. The price action does these kind of stuff. And when you actually see some of these on a long horizon, when the price is going down, the RSI is holding the ground. Again, that's in a 100-day time period. So when this happens on a downtrend, when this happens on an accumulation zone, you have different results. All of them end up in one direction, going up. Just the upside is different. Some of them happens to do a 10x, some of them happen to do a 50% to 100% run up. Whatever it is, right now we are at a stage where the price is going down. It's clear where the RSI is going up, and it is doing that, making one bottom, then the second, now the third. So you're watching that the divergence is visible on a daily. The divergence is right now creating on a week or 3-day chart, which shows you a macro divergence coming in. So if I'm looking at this, I would actually put the argument like, look at this. The trend is here. You breach that each and every time you have done that in the past, you get an immediate blow back to the upside where the price goes back, which is significant. Now, we have talked about that before. So if you actually get that ABC corrective pattern done, the next leg is to the upside. Great. So on a short-term horizon, we kind of understand where the market is, what it is trying to do and all. What's the next step? It's the macro chart to understand where we are. And on that macro chart, you need to actually put that question to yourself and ask, okay, what is happening on a monthly chart here? Why is it that this is trending higher? And each time you come back down to this range of support, something happens. You bounce off. So it does make sense. Like the short-term chart, which we just discussed about, that makes a lot of sense, meaning you actually go back to that. This is what we are talking about. The price is actually consolidating in this range and you have a resistance for sure. This is your pattern. So the RSI is suggesting you that no, someone else is buying big. And when we go back into the market, we understand, yes, it is real. Someone is buying big. So the price action in this asset is about to get interesting. It's about to go higher. Yes, there is a lot of things happening on the macro market with respect to that of dollar, with respect to that of gold. We've talked about all this. Understand things like this happen. And that's one of the reasons why when we were here at the downside, I gave you the thought process, we are going to go back up. If we don't retest and reject here, we are going to go break up to the upside and do what we have done in the recent past couple of times. So this is that range where we have repeated that same structure. I've given that in detail in the group, going through all of that. If you like to take a look at that, this link can actually help you. It's in the description below. Now, going back onto that structure, if you slowly zoom out on this and go on to the XRP USD part, you're like, okay, the first thing is actually done. How low are we actually going to go? From here, what's your downside potential for an asset with all these fundamentals, all these steps which we have been discussing, right? The initial step, the thought process was like the momentum is increasing. It's great to watch. Now we're fading that momentum. You're coming back down to a macro support level to attract more buyers, drain the supply, and then go back to the upside. This is how the market usually works. It's boring, but that's how the market actually does things in its own way. Now, if you actually go back into this structure, we'll actually take, say, for example, XRP USD on a weekly so that we want to actually see where the RSI is right now. Historically speaking, you want to actually take a note on when the price action is going up, where are you at that time? Whenever you make a fake out in this region, you want to see whether it's to the upside or to the downside. What does the price action actually do? Now we will actually take in the price with this. Say, let's minimize the MACD and make this a little bit more visible so we know what that means. You come there, you fake out, okay, you come back down. But if you are trending higher, it doesn't matter. You're gonna go back and break that level. Great. Now, when you're coming from the upside, the first time you usually do that after you go to the upside, it happens to be a huge fake out where you barely wick below that trend line and then go back up. Okay, that is something interesting. Or the other direction is also true. Like, when you're coming back from the downside to the upside, you happen to do a wick to the downside and then come back down in that RSI range. So that's where you actually got that macro crash on the March 2020. So you got that idea, right? It fakes out to both these sides. So if that's true based on all that we have seen, why should it be different this time? There's going to be a fake out for sure. There is going to be a fake out. We need to see how big that fake out is going to be based on all that institutions, sharks, whales, all that crazy stuff happening in the market. How the hell are they going to actually manipulate? That's going to be something like this. Are we about to watch a crash like this? That's a weekly, right? And then you go back up. We really don't know. No one actually knows. But you need to be prepared to understand that, okay, these are the best possibilities in the market, or at least all the possibilities which have a lot of odds. Otherwise, if you take 10% probability, you'll get hundreds of movements, which a lot of different people would actually give you. But if you do look at the macro possibility based on the macro support, resistance, and all these indicators, which are used by the majority, that gives you a better understanding. Now, if you did receive some value from this video, please do smash that like button for me. That supports the growth of this channel. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.